Hello, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the 1885 show. This is your Middlesbrough warm-up episode, and with me tonight are the usual faces. We got Harry and Callum. Boys, how are you?
Glad the international break's over. That's how I'm feeling.
International break, yeah. What about you, Callum? All good?
Mate, what a shocking international break, by the way. I mean, how we're getting beat by Japan, goodness me.
Didn't watch it last
What
night.
is
I was out
going
for
on?
dinner with the missus, thankfully.
Yeah, you was
Missed that
actually a
one.
little bit of an a la carte restaurant, Harry. You was, not
Yeah.
crying or nothing, but a little look through your story, and you was living it up, mate. You had a better
Yeah, it was
night
like this.
than the England players did, that's for sure.
I know, it was like this. It was like this 10-course meal kind of thing, and it was like all these little like dishes came out.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
looking at the portion sizes, mate, you'd need 10 courses as well to.
Yeah. No, literally, it was a
so
pizza
small.
gaff opposite it. Honestly, the pizza gaff opposite it was like, if we're hungry after this, we're going there. To be fair, we were actually fell up. To be fair,
It's
That was,
rich
like,
food. When
planned
it's
food.
like that, though, it's rich food, isn't it? It
Yeah,
does
you
fill
don't
up very
realise.
quickly. Yeah.
Was it nice or
No,
was it worth
that's
the
it.
money at least?
Yeah, it was. I took I won £100 voucher through work.
Sound.
So it was for their restaurant. So I was like, we've got to do that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Love that.
Happy days. Well, with that, welcome everybody. As I said, welcome to another episode of the 1885 show. Did you know that 60% of our viewers are not subscribers? So we have reached our golden first goal of 500 subs. Thank you everybody for that. We really appreciate everybody's support. But we are not ending there. So if you do like the content, you do like what we're doing, please drop a subscribe, like the channel and share it to help with the algorithm. Also, we've got something very, very big that we're going to be announcing in the upcoming days. We've got a promo together that's going to go out without saying too much, but the QPR home game is going to be a bit of a christening for something we've got brewing. So keep an eye out for that. Also, with that though, boys, I mean, look, we touched on it, the international break. It's I'm a very much club before country kind of man until it rolls around, and then I'm all with the England flag and the England shirts out. During the season, I don't like it. I don't like the international breaks. It doesn't do anything for me, but it has kind of served us a little bit of a good purpose because by all accounts, reports coming out today, we've been able to get a couple of players back, and the international break has helped with that. We probably did need a bit of a rest. What are your thoughts on that, guys? I mean, we did look a little bit leggy, didn't we, going into the final games, Harry? And the international break probably did come at the right time.
Yeah, we definitely needed it. I mean, with the amount of injuries we've had, you look at Hull, obviously Doherty going off, and obviously Denore's been injured. Yeah, sometimes, I'm like you, Jay. I don't like international breaks, even when we've sort of played the big boys in friendlies or whatever it may be. Just find it sometimes it can be quite a disturbance, but it's one of them. Sometimes you come into it with 5 games in a row and you've won, you're sort of going, oh, why is the international break here now? But if anything, we've actually probably benefited it from, having played Ipswich. Well, I thought we played okay, but like you said, we did look a bit leggy, a bit tired. Probably actually loved the fact that the international break was there and we weren't going into Boro next weekend. That sort of having that extra break, allowing players to get back fit. Hopefully, players are now fresh and we've not picked up any new injuries going into Friday. I'm sure, we're probably one of the few teams in the league that's been quite happy with this break.
Yeah, and I mean, Callum, look, normally we're a club that gets derailed at the end of a season because of injuries. We saw it last year. Injuries plagued us a little bit. We lost Jensen and we ended up just not being able to get enough done at the end of the season. This year, it's kind of been the opposite way around, mate, isn't it? All our injuries come towards the start of the season, and we're probably the most informed team in terms of being healthy at this stage of the season now because Lenny's back, Casper's back, Doughty's back. It's only the long terms, Smallbone and Jensen, I believe, that are out at the moment. So it's looking positive for us, mate, going into the running.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I think that as you said, the international break came at the right time. I think that the players we've got back, you just mentioned, are massive for us considering of where the squad was. It felt like that Ipswich game was kind of the tip of the iceberg where I think they needed that bit of a break to reset and go again for these final 7 games. Yeah, I think, massive one on Friday and Monday as well with, Norwich as well Monday. But look, we're getting the players back, which is the main thing. And considering of, the squad that we've got now, with these players getting, coming back from injury, the squad's looking even stronger than it was before the international break, which is really good going forward.
Yeah, probably strongest we've looked for a while, guys, to be honest, and that poses some good problems for Alex Neil, and problems that every club's dreams of having. Do you start Doughty? Do you start Sturge? Do you start Casper? Do you start Banner? So these are good problems that we've got to have. But the international break is over. We are back to domestic club football, and with only 7 games left, it is 7, I believe. It is 7 games.
Yes,
That is so
yeah.
quick.
39.
With 7 games left, we've got 2 very quick back-to-back games, probably 2 defining games to whether we establish ourselves as fighting for home advantage in the second leg in the playoffs, or we're pushing for that automatics, and it starts with Middlesbrough on Good Friday, the early kickoff. So let's get stuck then into the tale of the tape. It makes good reading for both clubs, really, guys, because looking at the tally tape, the last 5 games, Millwall have won 3, lost 1, that Blackburn game at home, and drew away at Ipswich, picking up 1 point in our last 2. Middlesbrough, they've kind of stumbled as well. They haven't won in their last 3. They lost at home to Charlton, drew at home to Bristol City, drew at home to Blackburn, only picking up 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss in their last 5. The form table has Middlesbrough sitting in 9th with a goal difference of 5, picking up 8 points. And we're sitting in 5th with a goal difference of +4 and picking up 10 points. So it doesn't make for, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a blockbuster Friday, put it that way. I think it's going to be quite nervy. But looking at those last 5 games, we're a very, very good a team away from home. We're the best in the league at it. Boro are not doing too well at home, boys. What do you make, Harry, of that tale of the tape, mate, on the last 5?
Yeah, it's one of them, like, you have to take it with a pinch of salt. Personally, I always do when we do these tailor tapes, because it's the biggest game of the season for both teams here. Personally, I don't think it defines our season if we do go there on Friday and lose, but at the same time, if we win, we're also not going to get guaranteed and sitting going, oh, we're going to be finished second now. What it does show is that both teams are capable of putting on a performance, but also you can catch them out. I'm sure we're going to go more in depth into sort of what Boro do well and don't do well, but they have their flaws. There's a reason why they've lost to the Charltons of the world and things like that. But at the same time, there's reasons why they put 3 or 4 past teams. I've watched them on Sky before, and I think it was QPR on a Sunday, and I think they beat them like 4-0 or something ridiculous like that. And it was like, Jesus, we're nowhere near this level. And then you watch them play Charlton, it's like, oh, actually, we're better than them. It's one of them. Both coming in off an international break. They've had a few players play for Australia, I think, weren't it? And they've had a few international players. So it'd be interesting to see how sharp they're going into this one. But I think it's like you said, it's going to be nerve-wracking. Every time we miss a shot, it's going to be like, oh, he's rubbish, this and that. And then when we score, it's like we're the best team ever. It's just going to be an emotional rollercoaster for 90 minutes. And I don't expect it to be any other way.
No, I agree with you. And Callum, I mean, they seem to really struggle against teams that tend to play a bit of a low block, tend to want to defend well, hit on the counter. Something we're probably good at doing away from home. We've proven that. We tend to set ourselves up, be hard to beat, and then try and hit teams where it hurts when it matters with the limited opportunities we get. Charlton did that to them. Blackburn did that to them. Bristol did that to them. And they haven't won any of them. What do you make of it, mate? The last 5 head-to-head between us and Middlesbrough. There's no draws in this, which is quite unusual. We've won 2. They've won 3. The most recent being that drubbing at the Den, which on paper was a drubbing, but it really wasn't. It was because Alex Neil decided to chase the game. And, when you do chase a game, you commit too much forward, it leaves you open. I don't think it was down to them just beating us. We also lost Doughty halfway through the game, which was a big morale killer. What do you make of it, Callum? Because it's fairly even over the, over the head-to-head, fairly even over the last sort of 5 games, but they struggle at home, we're good away. That's got to be something that we look to take advantage of, no?
Yeah, 100%. I think that Alex Neil's got a very good record, I believe, at the Riverside. I think he's unbeaten in the last 4 with Preston and Stoke, I believe. I think I read the other day. So
interesting. That's
something to, obviously, which is a positive on our side. But yeah, listen, I think that Middlesbrough are a very good team. I remember watching them against Birmingham a few weeks ago, and they looked a good team. They looked well-oiled. They've got a great manager in Kim Hellberg, who's done a fantastic job over there as well. So it's going to be difficult. I think that, as you said, with our game plan potentially is going to be sit back, potentially. It's like sort of like the Ipswich game, I think, is probably going to go that sort of way. I can see that. But I think if we want to go and win it, we have to go and attack it. In my opinion, I think we have to go and attack this game. I think if we sit back and build too much pressure, I don't know about you boys, but I think that, it's going to be quite difficult to handle. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But, there's many different avenues you could go down with this game. It's going to be a very, very tight one for sure.
No, it is. It is. And Hellberg versus Alex Neil was not a key matchup I picked up or picked out for us to talk about. But it is definitely one to look at. How does Alex Neil navigate the juggernaut that is Middlesbrough? We'll look at what they do well and don't do well, but some of the things that they really do well is going to pose a problem for us. So let's take a look at that then. Let's dive straight into our next segment, being the opposition under the microscope. Guys, I picked out I had a look at 3 things that Boro did well, but I wanted to keep them in line with each other, and 3 things that they don't do well. I'm going to start with the things that they don't do well. And Callum, I'll come to you first. So for the first one that they don't do well and it's quite a basic one, but it's penalties. I mean, they've conceded 5 penalties. That's the third most in the league. We don't tend to get penalties, but we do tend to get Aziz playing up against these, getting these tricks going out on that right-hand side. Cooper coming up for corners, etc. While they give away that many penalties, that's got to be something you look to exploit, right? Especially with how good we are at set pieces, corners. The risk is there for them.
Yeah, definitely. I think that set piece will be massive on Friday for sure. I think that, with their like the way they play, I think they like to play around with the ball, keep possession. I think we've got to go into it attacking the game, getting Femi on the ball, trying to get it down the wings, getting the balls into the box, using the midfield to get up and things like that. So I think that at the end of the day, set pieces is massive for us, I think, in this game. So I think that, if you look at the way they play, Jay, it's destined for us to get a set piece in the game for sure. Yeah. And also penalties. But do we get penalties though? Imagine the amount of times we've said this season that Cooper getting dragged down, the referee doesn't give it, or another player getting dragged down. It's very rare that we get penalties against other teams, more like us getting penalties against us. So I don't know about that one. We get penalties, but it's definitely something we can look to try and gain an advantage over them.
Absolutely. And Harry, I mean, they conceded, third most penalties in the league with 5, but they also rank, interceptions, right? Interceptions. And this is something that played in line with this because they're second bottom for interceptions with 285. They're top 6 with over 100 more. And also they're bottom of the league for clearances. Now, this either says that they do very, very well with just winning the ball in general, but they don't. They're quite middle of the pack for that. So they don't intercept the ball very well when the ball's been played on the ground. It's something we should be able to exploit, right? And also, they don't clear the ball very well. With our big towering centre halves and the balls we like to put in the box, the option for them not being very good clearing it probably does tie into the fact that when they don't clear it from inside the box, probably give away a penalty.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, second ball opportunities, like you said. Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised that they're that poor. You'd think a team like Boro, they'd be quick on the ground and they'd be picking up your passes straight away. But I think that plays to us nicely because we like to get the ball out wide quickly. Whenever we get the ball sort of in our own third, we like to get the ball out early, whether that's to Aziz or to Nedley, and get them running. And if they're not going to be able to pick off them passes, that could potentially be a field day for either winger. So yeah, that's obviously something we need to take advantage of. And I think, to be fair, it's going to be one of them games where we probably have to bide our time a bit. We know that Boro can obviously have a lot of quality on the ball, but what we can do is we can allow them to have the ball. But when we get it, we know they're not going to get near us anyway with the interception. So we've got the opportunity to hit Aziz a lot of times early. And then as you mentioned about the clearances, Aziz is going to keep putting balls into the box and they're just going to keep dropping to the edge of the 18 or 20, 25 yards out. As long as we've got someone sitting there to recycle the ball, and it's not 25 yards out, go and have a shot. It's more, recycle the ball, either get it back out wide or put the ball back into the box. And like you said, that second ball sometimes can lead to an opportunity for us, whether that's, like you said, a penalty or a free kick or even a goal itself. So there's ways of obviously winning this game, and something like that is a massive factor because, yeah, we do get a lot of corners, we get a lot of set pieces, and we might not score directly from them, but how many times this year have we scored from like the second ball where Kramer flicks it back across goal, or Aziz's free kick, for example, where it hits the post? It's a lot of second opportunities, and if they're not going to be able to clear the ball, that's a massive advantage to us, to be honest.
Yeah, second balls, Callum, is something that I've felt that in recent games, especially the first half at Ipswich, especially the first half in the whole game, and even to some extent the Derby game, I thought we was better in the Derby game, but it's the second balls, and I don't think that's down to just willingness and wanting to get stuck involved. We're not the biggest of midfielders. And a lot of the second balls do come in the midfield. But these stats about the clearances, the interceptions, the penalties, you've got to have Josh Coburn, Jake Cooper, Caleb Taylor. They've got to be licking their lips, right? And you probably want to just flood the ball with crosses.
Yeah,
Or the
100%.
box, should I say.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's very important that we get the balls into the box, considering of them stats. I think that's definitely something that Alex Neil will probably look at to try and exploit. I think that if you look at the way they play, I think it's going to be very difficult because they tend to play 5 at the back, I think. I know obviously you look back at the games and that they play a 4-1-4-1, but I tend to think that they play 5 at the back with wing backs. If you look at it, the only thing that I'm probably worried about is if they do play 5 at the back, then they might double up on our wingers just to try and stop the crosses from coming in, potentially. But then again, I think at the end of the day that the midfield is very important because, again, I think the last couple of games we've looked leggy, as we said earlier, so they've probably not been able to press as well in the last couple of games or where we would have wanted to win the ball back in key areas. Whereas I think, especially the Ipswich first half, we lost the ball in very tight areas and they were able to play out into their wingers very, very quickly. So I think the gaps were too big in Ipswich for me, the first half especially. You could see the gaps between midfield and defence was too wide and too high. So they just got to sort that out. But I think it's easily mendable with the break and everything like that, so they should be fine.
It is, and I don't expect us to have too much of the ball, to be honest with you, because if we look at the things that they do well, Harry, and I'll read these stats one after the other, they've conceded 37 goals, which is the best in the league. They've conceded the least in the league, and when you look at the clearance stats, the interception stats, the penalty stats, that's remarkable considering, so they are very, very good defensively, very good defensively. Also, what they do is that they're number 1 in the league for passes, so they retain the ball very well. They like to pass it about. They're very good tiki-taka side. When you got Morris, Hackney, players like that in the midfield, they like to retain the ball. They like to look for the spaces. And they're 3rd in the league for goals inside the box. Outside of the box, nowhere near it. But from goals inside the box, they like to play through the lines. They like to play you in behind, get in those tight areas. They've got the players to do it. This is a game that we tend to do really, really well in against teams that like to knock it about, that like to play in the tight spaces. We're quite good at that because of our energy levels, our discipline. That's going to be telling to probably how we may set up. We may sit up with kind of a low block and try and hit them on the counter. But the things that they don't do well are really countered by the things that they do well, right?
No, exactly. Some of the things you mentioned there, the fact that they've given away 5 penalties. They don't clear the ball well, but they don't concede either. So they're clearly doing something. Maybe they're not getting that great clearance on it, but they've clearly got enough bodies in the way or whatever it may be. Their positional setup is clearly good enough that even if it does fall to a Mill player, it's going to take something special for it to hit the back of the net, or their shot's not even on because of their positioning. But like you said, the passing thing, top teams usually, we're probably one of the very few teams at the top end of the table which we don't play that sort of triangle football. We try and just be quick with it and efficient. Teams like that. But like you said, we play better against them teams because we're going to go, well, you know what, you have the ball. If you want to knock about 20 passes between your holding midfielder, your centre-backs and your full-backs, you can do that. But what we're not going to let you do is once you get sort of 20, 25 yards by our goal, that's when we're going to come onto you. We're going to hit you hard and you're not going to be able to play them balls into the area. I think we actually play a lot better. I'd rather that than a team that's sort of going to go where they sort of match us. I think when a team matches us and what they do, that sort of counter-attacking football, that's when we struggle a lot. We see that against Wednesdays, the Oxfords of the world. We struggle a lot more with them kind of teams. So as much as it's a good thing for them or what they do, and it's clearly working because they're second in the league and deservedly so, it's actually, if we're looking at it from a Mill perspective, it's actually probably some pros in there for us rather than cons. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to go there expecting us to score 2 or 3 goals. I think, to be honest, if Boro score 1, I'd be happy with a point because I think it's going to be such a tight game. You look at both defences, like you mentioned, they don't concede goals, and neither do we really. We might have the odd game where we leak a couple of silly goals in, but for the main, 39 games this season, we've been very good defensively. So you can easily see it being 1-0 or 1-1 on Friday. I was about to say Saturday then, but yeah, it's bank holiday weekend.
No, and look, they create the most passes in the league, and we're 4th bottom for passes in the league. So we tend to try and maximise our opportunities when we have the ball. They tend to want to keep it a little bit. They want to walk it into the net as such with the stats that
Modern
they have
football.
for pass. Yeah, with the stats that they have for goals inside the box, they tend to want to do that. Whereas we're more get it out the wings, things, get it in the box, and let's try and finish it early as possible. So that's what the Boro do well. That's what they don't do well. Let's look at some of the key matchups then that could win this game. So I picked out 3 guys, and we've got to act like, you know, Hayden Hackney's going to start, Morris is going to start, that these players are going to start, right? Although that some of them have been on internationals, some of them have been injured. No one, like Alex Neil said at the fans forum, he won't give any information away to a potential setup. They will do everything they can to have Hayden Hackney in this lineup for this game. That's for sure. Is probably the best player in the league. But I've gone with Hayden Hackney versus Billy Mitchell, and I think if we're going to do anything well in this game, if we're going to have a shot in this game, I think Billy's energy, his legs, his tenacity, ankle biting style of play is going to be very, very important to try and nullify what Hayden Hackney does best, Callum, right? He's going to need to be on his game and probably do a bit of a Jimmy Abdou on him and just sit on him.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's the danger man, Hackney, 100% for them. I think that what Billy's got to do is he's got to pressure him while he's on the ball. Because if you let Hackney have room and space in that normally number 10 role that he plays, he is a danger man in that sort of area where he can pick a pass out and play Conway, or, you know, if it's Conway or if it's Morris or if it's Strelic through. He's very good at picking a pass and, you know, trying to find the spaces in between the defence and midfield. So yeah, Billy's just got to do a number on him. He's got to stick to him. He's got to pressurise him. And yeah, look, I believe he can do it. I believe he can. We've seen it before coming up against this season against tougher opposition. Billy can do that. Billy's got the legs. He's got the tenacity to go to players and bring it to them. And why can't he do it to Hackney? Obviously, the reverse fixture, I thought we let Hackney have too much space in the midfield. But I think that now we've learned the way that Hackney plays. I think that we've got the capabilities. Billy's got the capabilities to handle him, absolutely.
Yeah, thoughts, Harry? I mean, look, this is probably the biggest one for me, right? This is in my opinion, the best midfielder in the league. And if we let him play, he doesn't need much, right? We don't even need to let him play. He will find space and he'll make things happen. It's got to be, you know, Billy's got to be bang on his game, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're talking about a player that if Boro don't go up, will be playing Premiership football regardless. You know, he's going to go up and above. I think Billy's almost got to lose any other part of his games on Friday just to, you know, basically stick on Hackney, you know, rather than trying to run with the ball. And he's basically just job on Friday is just going to be get some glue and stick it to your arm and stick it to his arm and just stay with him. And he's almost got to, you know, put himself out of the game in a way and in an unselfish aspect and do that. And then, you know what, the thing is, Hackney's a very good player. He's going to get better with Bill multiple times on Friday. It's just where on the pitch he gets the better of Billy. You know, if he gets the better of him 20 yards from our goal, that's a problem. If it's 40 yards from our goal, probably not so much. So it's just, you know, we know Billy Mitchell's not going to win every single battle on Friday against Hayden Hackney. We know that. It's just where he loses them battles is going to be the massive one. And for me, it's, you know, it's one of them almost, I know it's a very cliche thing saying, but hit him hard early and put him off his game. If he's first stride Hayden Hackney and he runs 30, 40 yards and he clips the bar and it goes over, he's oozing with confidence and Billy Mitchell won't get near him all game. It's one of them, if he slides in at him and Hackney don't like it after 5 minutes and it's a fair challenge, it sort of like rocks the boat for him a bit. We know Billy Mitchell's got the hardest job, in my opinion, on Friday. If that one goes like tits up, we could lose easy 3-4-0. You know, if Billy Mitchell gets run round ragged, we could be in trouble because I think not only is he a goal scorer, he can create goals. He's just a dominant force, isn't he? I've seen him multiple times. Like I said, regardless of what Boro do this year, he's playing Premiership football.
Yeah, he's absolutely class. He's got a massive job for Billy, but one I trust him to take over. You know, I trust Billy. I really, really do. And my formation and my setup is pretty much based around stopping Hayden Hackney. So we'll come to that in a bit. But my next one I've gone for, Callum, I've gone, and it's, you know, we tend to pick out the obvious ones, but the obvious ones are the ones that decide games, right? And I've gone with Morgan Whittaker up against Zach Sturge. I expect Zach Sturge to retain his place at left back and Whittaker to sit on that right-hand side with that cutting ability. I think Zach Sturge's been brilliant. I thought he's excellent at Ipswich. I think he's been brilliant since he's come into the side. A really good defender, in my opinion. I think he's probably a better defender than Alfie Doubt. We've said that Doubt is a bit of a 8.5 going forward, probably about a 7 in defence. But I think Sturge is probably a 7.5 for both. You know, I just think overall he's probably a bit more even in both camps. Really, really like Zach Sturge's performance at Ipswich, and I think this is going to be really, really key as well. We went up against the likes of Jack Clark and and others, really good wingers that Ipswich deploy. He's played against some great wingers recently, and he's not looked too shabby, is he, Cal?
No, do you know what? He's one that surprised me, I think, for over the season. Obviously, he had the loan with us last season, didn't he? And he played really well. And then we bought him in the summer. And he just progressed really, really nicely into what I like to call a typical left-back role that we now see in the modern football game. Now, I think that, as you said, at first I thought he was more defensive than going forward. But I think Ipswich actually was probably the first time that I saw him actually have the attacking ability to go and make something happen. Obviously, we see for the goal, he wins the ball back and he plays it to Negley, and then we go and get the goal. So, I mean, now you're starting to see Zach Sturge flourish in the left-back position, whereas we would have obviously all gone, who would you pick? Would you pick Doherty over Sturge because of his attacking capabilities? But if you want an all-round left-back, Zach Sturge is your man. And look, he's got a hard task on Friday, and let's not kid ourselves. Morgan Whittaker is a great player. He's very tricky. He likes to go. See, the thing for me, he likes to go on his left foot. He doesn't really tend to go on his right foot as much. So if he can show him down the line as much as possible, I think we've got a good chance. But I think he tends to cut in to his left foot more than he does like going down to the byline and crossing it in. So that'd be quite interesting to see how Sturge deals with it. But yeah, Sturge's been brilliant. I don't know about you boys, but I think he's been brilliant this season.
Yeah, he has, and he's been really good and he's bided his time. You know, it hasn't always gone his way, Harry, is it? You do doubt he's seen as the sort of golden boy there, but whenever Zach Sturge has come in, I think he's been absolutely brilliant, and he seems to be a really, really good lad as well. You know, he doesn't let it get to his head. You don't really see him kicking off or having a pop. He just goes about his business and goes about it really, really well. One challenge that I think, you know, again, I trust Billy. I do trust Zach Sturge in this situation. He's quick, he's versatile, he's quite physical, Sturge. I fancy him.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a really good battle. I think, Whittaker, obviously, we know he's a good player. We've seen him, at Plymouth and now obviously now at Boro. But like Callum said, in my opinion, Whittaker can mark Whittaker out of this game quite easily and put him off this game. I think, like you said, Cal, if he forces him wide and putting balls into the box, we're going to mop that up every day of the week. Even if he gets the ball in the box, we're probably going to mop it up. And, as you mentioned, Jay, about Sturge, but obviously being a better defender than Doherty, I imagine when Sturge signed and then Doherty signed, he must be thinking, oh, God, I'm like third choice here. You got Joe Bryan, Doherty, I'm getting nowhere near. And I think what he's done when he's come in is, yes, we know how good Alf is going forward. He can put a ball in. And, he could find one person with 10 defenders around him. He's just got that ability. Against Boro, we're probably not going to need that at times. What we're actually going to need is someone who's one-on-one defending. You're not getting past me. And even if you try and get past me, I'm going to force you into an area you don't want to be in, up against a corner flag or out wide where you don't like it. He's not going to allow Whittaker to have time, to have space. And it's just really good competition. I think what you can see actually is having Alfie and Sturge it's just really good competition, because I think if we probably didn't have the other one and you back up to Joe Bryan, no offence to him, are you having to perform at a higher level every single week? So yeah, it's a really good battle. That's one that actually I'm quite confident that Sturge will win. I'm not as confident as the Hackney one, but the Sturge one I'm actually confident that Sturge can win that battle. Like I said, Whittaker's a brilliant player, and that's why he's playing for Boro, but I just think Sturge has just got that all-round tenacity that he's just not going to let Whittaker get his own way, and I think that's going to be crucial. If he can force him out wide and put balls into the box, we know the two big giants or our keeper's going to come and collect that every day of the week.
Yeah, exactly. I absolutely agree with everything you both said. Really, really, yeah, spot on. And the last one I've gone for, again, it's an obvious one, but this plays into more how I think Boro are going to play by pinning us back and how we're going to get ourselves up the field. And I think Josh Coburn up against Dale Fry is going to be a massive, massive part of that, because if Coburn can win that battle, we'll know what Coburn can do. He takes the ball with his back towards goal. He will bring Aziz in. He will bring Negley in. He will bring whoever's playing in behind him in, and it will allow us a bit of respite at the back to get up the field. I think that battle against Fry, 6'4", he's big, he's physical. He's a really, really good, experienced defender. Fry. He's played nearly 300 games for Middlesbrough. He's seasoned. He understands the game. He will know Josh Coburn as well. He will know Coburn's tendencies. He will know probably what he likes to do. I think Coburn has evolved since his time at Middlesbrough. I don't think Coburn they're going to see Friday is one that they've seen before. because I think he's much bigger, he's much more physical, he's much more able now. But they still do know him. They know sort of little tips and tricks. They know little things he probably doesn't like, what he does like. So this is going to be a really key battle, not just in us being able to give the defence respite, Callum, but being able to start attacks, because that's what we're going to do. It's going to go long up to Coburn, bring others into it.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you look at the Ipswich game, I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was just like, holding up the ball. He was strong. He was getting stuck in. Of course, he got the yellow card early on, and then he didn't really tend to want to get into much more. But no, he's come on leaps and bounds, Josh Coburn. Obviously, at first, we all said at the start of the season, £5 million should be scoring maximum 10 to 15 goals. I think he's on 6 or 7 now, is he? If I remember rightly. So
yeah,
I think he's more. I think the way he's played recently, he's more than the goals. I think to be able to get us up the field, to keep the ball in play, to, again, like you said, Jay, to get it to Femi and Negley on the wings. I think that he's done phenomenally well. And look, again, I think Boro fans will be absolutely livid if he plays well and goes and scores. I believe he scores, but I'm going to say that later. But I'm not going to say you're kind of giving it away. But I think that he'll play really well. I could just see him doing Dale Fry. I can't see him losing this battle. I really can't. I think he's just really, really good, and I can't believe that how well he's done so far for us these last couple of games. He's come on leaps and bounds from where we've all thought. At first, I wasn't sure, but now I'm like, yeah, he's definitely showing his trade now for £5 million.
Yeah, absolutely agree, and probably money well spent heading back to Teesside.
But yeah, well, if he scores on Friday, it will be. If he puts a second in the league, he will be. It's going to be an interesting battle between them two, because, yeah, like you said, Dal Fry is obviously a very good Championship centre-back and will probably walk into most Championship teams quite comfortably. And it's going to be a battle, but what we've seen recently is Coburn don't care who he's playing up against. He was going to throw his body around left, right and centre. He'll take bruises, he'll take knocks. But what we do know is he will put, and this was one thing that, when we signed him, wasn't disappointed when we signed him, because I always think it's good competition. It was always Ivanovic was your man, and then Coburn was, and even when Coburn came in, it was like he weren't playing good. Then he got that injury, and it's like he put on like 5 kilograms or 8 kilograms of just pure lean muscle.
Yeah.
And he's just turned into this absolute monster. Yeah, we probably would like more goals from him. And, you said Callum like 6 or 7 this season, probably for a team third in the Championship or fourth where we are at the moment, isn't ideal. But like you said, he's so much more to his game than just goals. It's sort of like the back end of Morrison's career where he came to the Championship and I think he scored like 1 or 2, but he did a lot more of the other stuff. I'm not comparing him to Morrison. I'm just, using him as a bit of an example there. But he has so much more to his game. He holds the ball up well. He brings players in. He wins free kicks. One thing he's really good at is he just puts his back into the defender. He just lets it drop off of him. And then you've got midfielders running left, right and centre. Yeah, he's going to be crucial. And if he can win that battle there, you'll almost allow Femi or Nedgley or any other midfielder to run onto opportunities that we're going to create. Because I think we can all probably accept we're probably not going to get many chances on Friday. So what it is when we do get them, there needs to be good chances, first of all, and then we need to be clinical. But you're only going to get good chances if your striker creates opportunities for you around sort of 30, 40 yards from their goal.
Yeah, well said. Absolutely agree with everything you both said. And look, chat, get in the comments. Let us know what you think about the key matchups. Do you have any other key matchups? We've got Hackney v Mitchell, Whittaker v Sturge, Fry v Coburn as our matchups that could potentially win or lose the game. With that being said, let's get into the predicted of 11s then. I'll start with mine first because I think you two are quite similar, not to give too much away, but I'll start with mine and then my explanation. So I've gone with Patterson in goal, Kramer right back, Taylor Cooper at centre back, Zach Sturge retaining his place at left back. I've gone with a change in formation. I've gone with a 4-3-3. With Mitchell playing in the 6, and I'm purely putting in there because of the Hayden Hackney threat. If Hayden Hackney plays, we've got a plan like he's going to. If he doesn't, it's a bonus. But I'm putting in there to be that mop-up guy, right? Have them legs. And then just in front of him, I've got Bannon and Negley actually in 2 8s. 2 guys that could pick a pass, that could get on the ball, that can move about. Bannon, for his age, what we saw at Ipswich when he's come on and that recently, he runs about, he gets stuck in and he wants to get on the ball. Negley, we know, there's not much more that can be said about Negley's work rate. He's got the best work rate at the club. That goes without saying. So sticking him in the 8 where he can be a bit tenacious, he can hurry people. He's also got the technical ability, him and Bannon, that if we do win the ball in the turnover or Billy does win it deep, that he can just feed them two and they can go off, feed the wingers who are going to be, Tommy Watson's going to play out on the left. Had a really good England youth outing, scored a brace. So he'll be coming back full of confidence, full of energy. So stick him out on that left-hand side. Again, for Sturge, get us up the field. Someone with pace, someone with legs who wants to drive at defenders. He'll be going up against Callum Britton, who's a very good right back. You want to try and keep him pinned back and on his toes. And then the two mainstays that will never change unless it's barring injury is Aziz on the right and Coburn up top. What do you think of that, guys? Harry, I'll come to you first. Thoughts on that change of formation, the positions, and why?
Yeah, I mean, I won't get into mine and give it too much away, but yeah, obviously I've sort of gone similar in terms of the same formation as usual, but maybe change of formation just to throw Boro off a bit as well. And like you said, that Billy Mitchell was going to be, mentioned it in the matchup, it's going to be massive with the Hayden Hackney situation. And Nedgley and Bannon, yeah, like you said, can play balls that, you wouldn't even think of playing. I actually really like that lineup, to be fair, and I'm kind of gutted I haven't gone for that myself. I think I've got the same players, just not the setup. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he goes and sets up, to be honest, because will he go with the old reliable 4-2-3-1, or will he maybe try and change it and throw Boro off potentially? I think that's a really good lineup, and I'd be interested to see what Alex Neil does do on Friday.
No, that's right. And Callum, we'll keep leaving viewers and listeners in suspense from Harry's team, from what he said. But, look, he could go 4-4-2. It's worked recently. The 4-2-3-1 has kind of faltered a little bit. But I went with the 4-3-3 with an anchor and 2 8s just for protection, just for legs, for energy to try and stifle Boro's what they did well, which is knock the ball about and get Hayden Hackney on it. What have you gone with then? What is your formation, your setup, and why have you gone with it?
Yeah, so before I start with my starting 11, I just wanted to say that your 4-3-3, I actually did that for the Ipswich game, same formation, because I think, like you've said this, Jay, before, the 10, we don't really have a 10 player.
Yeah.
Nedgley was brought in for that, but I don't think he has, we all say he hasn't really had the attacking output that we would have liked from him, but yeah, we don't have a 10. Listen, I'm going to go for, my starting 11 is Patterson in goal. Same back four as Ipswich, Sturge on the Sturge left back, Cooper, Taylor and Kramer. I'm going to go for 2 sitting in Bannon and Mitchell. And then Aziz on the right wing. I'm going to go Kundal in the 10 because I feel like Kundal has been very good recently. I think he's deserved the shirt. I think he's come on. I think it was the Blackburn game when he scored that goal, and he's been playing very well ever since. So, yeah, he's going to be in the 10 for me. And then Nedgley on the left, and then Coburn up front for me.
Very, very good team. I like it. It's probably the one that he will go with, to be honest with you. That's probably the lineup that if he's playing a 4-2-3-1, it might be that. It'll probably be Langstaff maybe over Kundal, just because he's favoured that. I don't think that particularly works very well. Hasn't for a number of weeks now. But no, really good lineup. One that, gets us on our toes and has got a lot of energy about it. Harry, what about your setup then, mate? We left you in a little bit of suspense for some of your words there. What have you gone with? Is it similar to mine? Is it similar to Callum's, or is it completely different?
It is. I think it's exactly the same as Callum's.
Wait, the suspense was not worth it, Jack.
Yeah. But my thoughts, so obviously Patterson in goal, just to reiterate, Kramer, Coops and Taylor, and then Sturge, and then obviously Mitchell and Bannon, with obviously your middle three of then Kundal, Aziz, Nedgley, and then Coburn up front. I went with Bannon and Mitchell though, not because I went more with them because I thought, well, Mitchell's going to do the dirty work. So then what you need is that, because I was tempted between him and then obviously pushing Kundal back and then maybe playing someone else there, like moving Nedgley in the 10 and putting Watson out wide. But I was like, actually, if you have two similar players that are tenacity, they're just going to fight, but then actually what they're not going to be able to do is actually play the nice ball out wide to break, is you end up stuck in your own half too many times. And I think that happened against Ipswich when we played Kundal and Mitchell. I feel like we just couldn't get out at times because we didn't have that midfielder that could pick a pass 25 yards. And I think that's what Bannon will offer more. He's probably not going to, throw himself in like Billy Mitchell will into a challenge maybe. But what he will do is if he gets the ball, 30 yards from his own goal, he's able to play a pass out wide that will just, relieve all the pressure. So that was my thinking behind that. And that's why I didn't play Watson, because I thought, in my opinion, you can't drop Nedgley. So that's why he keeps there. And I feel like Kundal in the 10 is probably more suited for his role. And he scored a couple of goals coming off the bench. So I think maybe, give him another start. And yeah, obviously, like you said, Coburn and Aziz are undroppable, aren't they, really?
Oh, excellent. And chat, let us know your teams. Let us know whose teams you like, what you don't like, what you would change as well. With that then, guys, let's just get our quick predictions then. I'll go last. I'll come to you, Callum. What is your prediction for our trip to Boro on Friday?
I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. The reason for that being, I think it's going to be a sort of similar game to Ipswich. I just think that it's going to be a tough ask to win there. We can do it. I am not saying that we won't do it. I'm just saying that I'm taking this one on the fence a little bit, because I don't want to say that we'll win. Because every time I say that we'll win, then we go and lose. So I'm going to sit on the fence on this one, boys, and I'm going to go for a little 1-1 draw. I think it's not a bad place for me to go and draw. I think we'd all take a draw now, and then move on to Norwich on Monday. But yeah, I mean, we got to go
keeps
for 3
us in the
points.
running.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm going to go for a 1-1.
Yeah, it keeps us in the running. It doesn't let them get away from us unless results go against us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What have you gone for then, Harry? And who's your goal scorers, if there is any?
Yeah. I mean, if I look at it this weekend, you take 4 points, wouldn't you, right now? As long as you can't lose to Boro. So I've actually gone for a 1-0 Millwall win, because I'm not a chicken like Callum.
Yeah,
I'm going to
fair.
go Coburn to score the winner.
Oh, he's next
We're
to it.
going to go 1-0 up early, like I would say 15, 20 minutes into the game. And a controversial decision that's going to happen. They're going to score but have it ruled out with about 10 minutes to go. So yeah, 1-0 win. It'll probably be a very undeserved 1-0 win. It'll be a lot of Boro momentum, but we'll just be able to hold on, I think. I just think the difference between Ipswich and Boro is I feel like I know what Boro are going to do to us, where Ipswich was they've got about 10 different players that could hurt you. I think Boro have got 3, 4 just top players, but if you can mark them out of the game, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't want to jinx it too much, but maybe we can hold our own.
I've gone for very much for your reasoning, Harry. I've gone for the same, but I've gone for a 2-0 win. I actually think we'll score early. Both goals will come very early in the first half, and I think we will warrior our way to a win. You'll have Jake Cooper fists in the air with super Jake at the end of the game, because he's going to come off as man of the match and be absolutely colossal in keeping probably a clean sheet for around 70 minutes if we go 2-0 up that early. That's what I've gone with. And I think Coburn's going to score, and I think Taylor up from the back, I think he's going to score, but I don't think he's going to score a header. I had a weird thought that it's just going to be a bit of a scramble, a bit of a goal mouth, and Taylor's just going to be there, and he's going to do a bit of a Cooper at Hull, and he's just going to smash it in the top bin. So keep an eye out for that prediction. Keep an eye out for Harry's sort of goal disallowed prediction, and let's see if they come to fruition. So Callum's gone for a draw. Harry's gone for a very cagey 1-0 win, and I've gone for a very battle-tested early 2 goals win, and puts us second in the league. Guys, brilliant, excellent show. Thank you very much for joining me. Any final thoughts from yourself, Callum?
No, you sold me there, boys, on them predictions. So thank you very much for that. No, listen, I went my score prediction. I went for on the fence, which some people might not like, aka Harry. But there you go. But no, look, listen. At the end of the day, we've got loads of stuff coming on the channel, so really good at the minute. So keep your eyes peeled, and we'd love a little 3 points on Friday and on Monday against Norwich. Listen, I believe we can do it. I believe we can get automatics. I'm going to say it here.
Excellent. Brilliant.
I believe in
Harry, any
automatics.
final thoughts from yourself, mate?
Yeah, if we can get 4 points out of these next 2 games, and ideally the 3 points being the Boro game, just because it's a 6-pointer, then I think you come away. If someone offers you now 3 points on Friday and a draw on Monday, you'd bite your hand off. I know it'd be disappointing drawing the home game, but I just think it's more important to beat the teams in and around you than it is to beat teams nearer to the bottom. If you're going to drop points against them rather than the teams around you. So I'm looking forward to Friday. It's going to be, for the 90 minutes, it's going to be hell. It's going to be emotions flying everywhere. You're going to be calling players this, that, and the other. Then you're going to be cheering and down. And yeah, it's just going to be a horrible gut-wrenching feeling. But come full time, hopefully, we can get some full-time reactions out, and there'll be some smiling faces.
No, agree. No final thoughts from me, other than I think we're going to win and we're going to get promoted to the Premier League, and everything's going to be dandy in the world of Millwall. But
Stop
no,
playing
listen.
FIFA, Joe.
Listen, boys, if it was FIFA we was playing, we'd be fucking relegated. We'd be banging trouble if it was me, let me tell you. We'd be banging trouble if it was me. No, listen, look, wicked guys. Everybody, look, get in the comments with your match predictions, get in the comments with your team predictions, and just let us know your thoughts about the game. With that being said, look, as Callum said, we've got lots that we're building up to towards the end of the season, lots of really exciting stuff as well. And it's a good feeling around the club. It's a good feeling around the podcast at the moment as well. And that is testament to the two guys sitting above me, or however they are on your team, on your screen, and everyone else that is involved with it. But if you do like the content, please, like I said, drop a like, drop a share, and subscribe to the channel and follow us on our socials. That's been Callum, that's been Harry, I've been Jay, and we'll see you on the next one for the Boro cool down, which will be Friday. See you then.